This is Cameron Wiley with CBM Reviews, and we are here with the Tony Award-winning John Glover. He has been in a slew of things, but we're going to focus mainly on the comic book properties. How are you doing today, John?
Swell.
A lot of the appearances that you are known for was the Smallville series where you played Lionel Luthor,
Right.
Lex's father.
Yes.
Tell me, where did you go to find that character's voice, to find out where he comes from, what motivates him?
Wow. He uses my voice.
Okay.
Yeah. And I knew I was not a comic book. I'm not a comic book fan. So, but luckily enough, Lionel is not in any of the. Doesn't exist. So I was able to create a man on his own. I had no restrictions or limitations, I thought. But as soon as I realized that what the man is trying to do is to pour more love onto his son, it opened a lot of doors for me. And then I saw how weak Lex was, spineless. So I would give him different tests out of love. Like the shock treatment was out of love to make him better. They all were. And a little warped, I know, but that's how it started. And then I found that as we went on, that the writers were sort of listening or hearing the love, so they started writing sort of in that direction. It was one of the best compliments I would get when I was recognized on the street, which happened several times. I mean, I got recognized more than several times, but several times they would say, "We can't figure it out. Are you supposed to be a good guy or a bad guy?"
Wow.
So that was like the best compliment I could get, because I think the writers were creating a sort of an evil father, but they started
hearing the love.
Well, and I became a human being as opposed to just a villain.
I think that whenever you put some humanity into a character, it grows more than just what that person is on the screen or on the page, and you get a true following. You get people who actually connect with these characters, and that quite possibly is what you brought to Lionel Luthor. Now, he is not the only character where you played the father of the villain. You also were Dr. Thaddeus Sivana's father in Shazam.
Well, he was a terrible father.
He was a terrible father.
He did not know how to listen. He couldn't forgive. He couldn't. I mean, he's sort of like this guy that's trying to run our government today. You know.
Oh. We don't mind the Trump shade here.
He can't be wrong. That's Mr. Sivana couldn't be wrong. So I just had to do what the director wanted me to do. But it was sort of a flatline kind of role.
We know that you don't write the characters; you just play the characters.
Yeah.
But how did you feel about his so-called comeuppance early on in the film, specifically the boardroom scene?
Well, that's when well, it was a challenge to sort of figure out how to do that. But I would gargle a lot of water before and get that flowing, so I was drooling a lot.
Wow.
You know, and dripping with snot and everything. So that was because the challenge was to be truly afraid of what's going to happen. You know, because there was so much of that stuff that they add afterwards.
Right.
Every time we'd shoot a scene, then they'd clear the set, and they'd bring in these big round balls, and they'd shoot that for a while. So, I mean, it was slow going. Slower. I mean, filming is usually slow because the set. But instead of relight, you know, before they would relight, they would re-shoot the whole thing with no people there, which I quite don't know why, but
Sounds complicated. Definitely above my pay grade.
yes. Well, next question then.
Sure.
All right.
Another comic book property that you were in, kind of like the catalyst that created, was in Batman and Robin as
Robin.
Dr. Woodrow.
Evil Dr. Woodrow.
Evil Dr. Woodrow. Now, this was not as serious a role as the other ones.
No.
How much fun were you allowed to have in this role?
Well, it was really fun. A lot of fun. And I suggested the Bride of Frankenstein wig, which Joel Schumacher went for. I'd done a movie with Joel before, The Incredible Shrinking Woman.
Okay.
With Lily Tomlin. So I knew him. We had a great time. And then there was the terribly difficult scene when I was kissed to death by Uma Thurman. She kept sticking her tongue down my throat. To speak of a tongue, I mean, and we had to do it over and over and over again.
It sounds like a case of method acting to me.
It was a hellish day.
Speaking of Batman,
yeah.
You were also the voice actor for the Riddler, Edward Nygma, in the Batman animated series.
I know.
Now, even though the Riddler isn't held in high esteem as some of the other characters like Catwoman and Joker, you have a very high distinction of being one of the few characters that actually bested the Dark Knight in the episode, If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about, well, they didn't film it, but recording that scene in the same booth with Lauren and Kevin, and how did that go?
Well, you see, that was the beauty of Andrea Romano, who directed these things. I had worked with her previously. I had done an Animaniacs, and I had done a Pinky and the Brain. And I got a call one day. She said, we've lost our Joker. Tim Curry, he'd quit smoking, so he was all phlegmy and wasn't making it good. So they moved Mark Hamill, who was the Riddler, up to the Joker. So Andrea called me, because I'd worked with her a couple of times, and I guess she figured I was a good actor. And she said, would you come in and do the Riddler for us? So I'm only in 3 episodes.
But you definitely made an impression.
Well, you know, it was a Saturday cartoon. And I lived a couple of blocks away from where they recorded it, so I'd walk over of a day. I'd spend a couple of hours there. You know, we'd rehearse it with the whole company. So it was like putting on a play.
Like a radio play.
Because everybody was there. And then we'd tape it or film it or whatever you say. And so I had 2 hours of fun. I never watched the series. It was on Saturday mornings. I'm a grown-up. I'm not going to watch Saturday morning cartoons. So when it became the big thing, when they released all the stuff, and so they asked me to come to one of these cons, and I remember there was this one blonde boy who came up and was trying to explain to me how important the Riddler was in his development as a human being, or in the whole series. And I tried to explain to him how I never watched it, I didn't know anything about it. But the point I was trying to make was that I was a part of something that influenced so many lives. But all he heard was, I know. And slowly, as I was talking, he just sort of got right, and he turned his back on me and just walked away.
Oh my gosh!
I felt like I had just ruined someone's life. But I was trying to tell him how ignorant I was, and that I'd seen how important it was that I was unaware of it. Anyway, if you're out there now and you happen to hear this, I'm sorry I ruined your day. I hope that wasn't your life.
This is the redemption video.
All right, thank you.
Last but certainly not least, you have played so many villainous characters, but you've had so much fun with them. One of the roles that you did in pop culture was Gremlins 2, where you were the hero of New York. You saved New York from the Gremlin scourge. They're coming out with a new Gremlins. If they give you the call, how quick do you say yes?
Well, if they make me the president, and who is smart enough to make all the little gremlins as cabinet people, I think we'd have a ball with it, yeah.
All right. Well, Thank you so much for this interview. If you want to see some of the roles that John Glover's in, you can find Smallville. I'm pretty sure that they're on Blu-ray and DVD. Not quite on DC Universe yet, but you can also catch the Batman animated series, which is on DC Universe. Thank you so much for this interview, John.
Thank you. Good word. Thank you, too.